The story and endings of Black Myth Wukong all center around one single item, the golden fillet, also known as a headband or crown. To understand the ending is simply to understand the significance of this simple crown. After all, there's a reason Game Science included the fillet prominently in trailers and even made it the loading icon in-game. The item also shows up in the prologue right before Sun Wukong's fall, and it comes back at the very end of the game, held by the old monkey. In this video, I'll explain what this item is, what it means for the story, and what we can learn from it about the game's two endings. I'm Mad Luigi, and I hope you enjoy. So, the golden fillet, which is an old word for a band that goes around the head, can be seen in the prologue causing Sun Wukong pain, right before he falls out of the sky and is crushed by Erlang Shen. This is a key item from the original novel Journey to the West, whose story takes place before the events of the game. In the novel, Sun Wukong is taken as a disciple to a monk traveling from China to India to bring back Buddhist scriptures. But Sun Wukong is famously unwieldy and rebellious. So what is essentially the patron deity of the journey, the Bodhisattva Guanyin, gives the monk the headband and a spell that will cause great pain to anyone wearing it. Wukong is tricked into wearing the headband, and from then on, if he ever misbehaves, the monk recites the spell, and Wukong's head is squeezed like a gourd, torturing him until he relents. It seems this spell is used on Wukong while he flies in bird form in the prologue of Black Myth. He has no way to stop it, and this gives Erlang an opportunity to crush him. After this, to my knowledge, we don't see the circlet for the rest of the game, all the way until the very end. So let's head there. Arriving at the game's conclusion, we have collected all of the external relics of Wukong and returned to Mount Huaguo. We come upon a stone at its top, a stone which Zhu Bajie, or Pigsy, says must be the egg that holds Wukong. This is a bit of an allusion to Wukong's original birth in the very start of Journey to the West, where he was born of a stone egg that came from an immortal stone. We can enter the stone, and then we find the old monkey, who, like Charon of Greek mythology, ferries us along a body of water. During the ride, Old Monkey explains some of the past and stories of Wukong, generally being critical and ranking him no better than the corrupted bosses we fought throughout this game. Old Monkey reveals that the 5 relics, the senses of Wukong, were taken by the Yaoguai kings, but his 6th and last sense, his mind, was truly lost. He claims that we, the Destined One, can stand as Wukong's lost mind and take up his name, having proved our worth by fighting the bosses and assembling the relics. But Wukong's original mind, Old Monkey claims, is truly gone, faded away upon Wukong's death. At the end of the ride, we must face the finale of Wukong's lingering obsession. To prove our worth, we face a hollow relic of the monkey, who starts as the stone monkey Wukong began his life as, before progressing to the Great Sage's broken shell, and then even absorbing the relics from us before the final fight. The shell harbors some of Wukong's comedic personality, especially after it acquires his relics. Its stance becomes relaxed, it taunts us by throwing our staff back at us, and it even samples our gourd's coconut wine. Eventually, we defeat it, and it passes on in great Wukong fashion by laughing. The relics then return to us. The reabsorption of the relics, or maybe just the exhaustion from the fight, lead the Destined One to kneel, mirroring the shell. And as its body dissipates, it leaves behind a surprise. At the last second, the circlet reappears, and then it drops once the shell is gone. Then, Old Monkey reappears, picks up the golden band from the water, and places it on the head of the Destined One. With the final praying hands, this could seem like a peaceful gesture and end. But remember, the fillet is a tool of control. It is what forced Wukong into servitude and what led to his death against Erlang. The old monkey placing this on our head is reintroducing the controlling force that Wukong suffered. And in the zoom out of the rest of the ending, we see our monkey grow old with long graying hair, stuck in stasis in the rock. The old monkey's journal entry says that some think he is the Bodhisattva Guanyin, among other options. She was the one who originally fashioned the method of controlling the rebellious monkey so it would be a parallel for the old monkey to be her, reintroducing the control onto Wukong's successor. But we don't have any more evidence to draw a definite conclusion here. Regardless, the old monkey definitely seems to be on the side of the forces of heaven, either the Taoist celestial court, the Buddha's realm, or both, since all seem to be in agreement that a free Wukong poses too much of a threat. It was the Buddha, after all, that originally subjugated Wukong when he rebelled against heaven. Now that the Destined One has collected Wukong's relics and gotten a lot of his power, they likely feared he too would become a problem. So the old monkey stands guard, ready for the day when a Destined One would succeed in collecting the relics. He is here to make sure that whoever becomes the successor to Wukong is immediately subjugated by the same fillet, doomed to spend eternity in the stone. And now that Wukong's relics are sealed in the stone too, the higher forces don't have to worry about anyone else getting the relics or reviving Wukong. This is the grand plan to stop Wukong once and for all. This is also the default ending, which could easily be read as a bad ending. We get trapped in a stone forever. But there is another option, an ending that gives us more content and lets us see more parts of the puzzle. And we can find it by heading to the Great Pagoda. The more complete, and I would say better ending, is accessible if you complete the secret areas in every chapter. After doing so, you must head to the Great Pagoda in the New West. If you fought and bested the green-capped martial artist, then the Bodhisattva Maitreya, the little fat one, will have foreshadowed this. After the fight, he says that an old friend of Sun Wukong had come to him wanting peace. He sent this friend to the Great Pagoda and asks us if we've paid him a visit. So off we go to the pagoda. And inside, we can find murals of art depicting each chapter. If all the other ones are complete, Maitreya will be waiting at the last one, which is blank. The Bodhisattva asks us, after we have mirrored Wukong's original journey west in our journey, if we've learned anything. He once again mentions the old friend and tells us that this last mural holds the key. We enter Mei Mountain and find none other than he who seemingly killed Wukong, the sacred divinity Erlong. Erlong says that he can't kill that monkey, and that no one other than the monkey himself actually can. He remarks that Wukong had no choice, and that neither did he. And then you fight. This fight was, for me, easily the hardest in the game. It was one of the only fights that made me replay it again and again, more like a Souls boss fight than the action experiences that the rest of Black Myth's cast ended up being. The fight is intense, but with our large array of tricks, stats, and spells, plus some crucial help from the fan vessel, Erlong can be defeated. After beating his earthly self, the battle turns into a kaiju off, with a giant stone monkey Destined One first facing off against the 4 heavenly kings, gods who watch over the 4 cardinal directions. I think this is another nice allusion to Wukong's birth, where he is said to have bowed to the 4 quarters, the quarters being the cardinal directions. After besting these 4 gods and brutally killing them, we face a transformed Erlong, who importantly notes that, as I've helped you, I shall see it through. Once we defeat the great beast, we both transform back into our smaller versions, and then we punch Erlong in the face. At this, he laughs, and right before we then kill him, he opens his 3rd eye. Out comes a cloud which seems to house a ton of past utterances and maybe memories of Sun Wukong, which is really hard to decipher if you are playing on Chinese audio with English subtitles because they didn't subtitle any of it at all. At least they didn't when I played the game near launch. All of the voice lines are memories of things Wukong said during his journey and life, the last of which is the most important. He says, "Watch me rip it off and break free." After this, Erlong gives some mysterious answers, saying that the win is Wukong's. Only now does Erlong understand the fight, that nothing can hold Wukong, not prestige or a band. He died a mortal death to achieve an unbound mind and will. We are then tossed out of the obsession. But first we get to see a conversation between Maitreya and the Gourd Master, Yuan Chuo Chang. Their conversation deals with destiny and what's to come. It's rich for discussion, so is the Gourd Master's name, but that's for another video. After coming out, we can read about Mitra's conversation with Erlong when he came to the pagoda. Erlong came looking for peace and was told that Sun Wukong would be his answer as he was the cause of his unrest. Mitra opened the path to the painted May Mountain to Erlong. Erlong says he will be hidden from the celestial court, but expresses concern about the court finding out about what Mitra has done. This is evidence that they are both acting against the wishes of the higher-ups in the court. Mitra waves off the concern by feigning ignorance of who the man is, saying that the Erlong he knows is much uglier. I take this as the Bodhisattva maintaining plausible deniability of Erlong's doing if he ever got questioned by one from the court about it. We also get Erlong's journal entry, which describes a couple of celestial soldiers who saw Erlong take a piece of Sun Wukong and then stumbled upon a plum blossom on Mount Huaguo. They confusedly question this before being immediately killed by what has to be Erlong himself. I take this to be Erlong covering up evidence of him taking an aspect of Wukong, making sure no one knows that the monkey's memories survived his death. With this in mind, all that is left to do is defeat the final boss once again. Having defeated Erlong, we now get a different ending. Everything is the same up until Old Monkey approaches us with the golden band. This time, before he places it on our head, binding us in servitude, the Destined One's eyes flash open and we see a brand new animation. In it, Sun Wukong is nearly defeated by Erlong, who remarks that the headband has always been on him, saying how Wukong becoming a Buddha doesn't matter since he's still restricted by the band. Wukong responds with what we heard him say in his memory cloud: "Watch me rip it off and break free." We then see the great saga that Wukong has been on, an animated collection of the adventures of the journey to the west, including the pain he suffered when the monk tightened the band around his head. The animation is an emotional chronicling of Wukong's journeys, and it ends with a scene of his comrades defeated. Alone, Wukong leaves his cave and walks out to face the army of heaven. Coming full circle, this segues directly into the game's prologue. And finally, we get the credits. This true conclusion shows how the Destined One has broken free from the headband, and it seems like this was all part of Wukong's plan. I would bet that he didn't ever want to lose, but seeing as how the headband remained on him even when he was granted Buddhahood, which is essentially the highest rank, let's call it, that he could be, he needed a way to remove it, as he wouldn't be able to do anything against one who knew its tightening spell. This, along with the fact that the court was suspicious of him because he revoked his Buddhahood and chose to go back and live on the mountain, meant that there was definitely going to be some conflict between them in the future. This ending interrupts the old monkey placing the headband on the Destined One. It seems Wukong was serious when he told Erlong he would break free. He did so, as Erlong admits, through a mortal death. The shell dying got rid of the headband, and the splitting of the relics allowed the Destined One to collect the aspects of Wukong in a new body, one that wasn't subject to the headband. Now, his mind and will are unbound in the form of the Destined One, in addition to the power of his relics being in his body. The Destined One may have the memories of Wukong and may now be a melding of who he was before along with Wukong himself. It's kind of a rebirth, but also with the experiences the Destined One had as an individual. I would think this introduces some differences as well, but there are generally some differences that go along with any form of reincarnation. In any case, this new monkey, this new Kong, now gets to venture forth and choose what to do next. We can see in the journals that the last thing Wukong said to Pigsy was that immortality wasn't for him. He doesn't want to be a Buddha or live forever. This definitely speaks to what his character values, placing a huge emphasis on freedom and the will to determine one's destiny. The valuing of freedom is a giant theme throughout the game, and especially in this ending. So now that there's a new Kong free and on the loose, I think there's a good chance that heaven is getting assaulted once again, possibly with Wukong having a new set of allies, like Maitreya. Wukong is now unbound, and the only one who is able to stop an unbound Wukong in the past was the Buddha Tathagata, basically the head and most powerful Buddha. especially in the novel of Journey to the West. I wouldn't be surprised to see a DLC or future game take the fight to at least the Celestial Court, and possibly even to the Buddha himself. There's a lot more to say about the themes of freedom and determination of will that run through Black Myth, in addition to plenty of other lore about the characters and about how the Taoist and Buddhist worlds seem to be in conflict. So if you enjoyed this video, stick around to see more of my ideas about Black Myth Wukong. Thank you to my patrons who support the channel, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.